What would you do if an employee lied, schemed, and repeatedly broke the rules, and you finally had the chance to stop them once and for all? This is the story of how one woman was forced into retirement, screaming, "But I didn't retire," and how my friend Sandy delivered the most satisfying, legally perfect revenge. If you love seeing karma served cold and smartly, hit that like button, comment with the worst employee story you've ever had, and subscribe for more real-life workplace revenge stories that will leave you cheering. Meet Sandy, a hard-working single mom in British Columbia, Canada, who had spent years at a small owner-operated travel agency. When the previous owner retired, Sandy stepped up, taking over the business she loved. And then there was Jane. Jane, a woman in her early to mid-60s, a veteran of bending rules, scamming extra time off, and claiming overtime she hadn't earned. A true office nightmare, but clever and persistent. She had even gotten away with these tricks at her previous job, suing her former employer for unfair dismissal and winning. Imagine being Sandy, juggling a small business, 2 boys involved in youth hockey, and an employee who thinks the rules don't apply to her. Jane was like a cloud of tension over the office. Every time Sandy tried to enforce a rule, especially about overtime, Jane would find a loophole. She even started booking days off without asking while Sandy left early to pick up her boys from hockey. Each time, Jane thought she had outsmarted Sandy. But Sandy had something Jane didn't expect: patience, planning, and proof. One week, Sandy needed to be away for a hockey tournament. She told both Jane and the other employee, clearly and repeatedly, "No days off. I need both of you in the office." But Jane had a plan. Using her old tricks, she booked a trip for her daughter and son-in-law to Las Vegas, and another ticket to Calgary for herself, all during the exact dates Sandy had blocked. When Sandy discovered this on a Saturday, she felt a mix of disbelief and fury. Jane had lied outright. She claimed she needed to help her daughter with a medical issue, a convenient cover for her Vegas getaway. Sandy's internal monologue: "After years of bending the rules and getting away with it, she thinks she can manipulate me too. Not today." Instead of confronting Jane impulsively, Sandy stayed calm, calculated, and meticulous. She emailed Jane denying the days off, citing the Vegas trip she knew about, and called out the lie. Jane responded with indignation, pretending she was a dedicated employee unfairly treated, and, in a dramatic twist, declared she was retiring. Sandy's heart raced, but a smile crept across her face. "She handed me her own resignation. All I have to do now is enforce it." Sandy consulted her accountant and business advisor. The advice: honor Jane's retirement notice, pay her for hours worked and 2 weeks' wages in lieu, and let her walk out the door. No severance, no loopholes, all perfectly legal. Sandy planned the final scene carefully. She arrived early Monday with her boyfriend as a witness. She boxed Jane's personal desk items and separated business property, including a small box of client information that Jane had refused to digitize, which legally remained company property. Every detail was prepped for maximum impact. No sudden moves, no confrontation, only undeniable, documented truth. Jane arrived, greeting everyone as if nothing was wrong. She froze when she noticed Sandy's boyfriend in the office. Midway to her desk, Sandy calmly handed her a check for the 2 weeks' wages and said, "I've accepted your retirement notice." Jane's eyes widened. Her voice rose. "But I didn't retire. I'm not ready to retire." Sandy's response was calm, unflinching. "You did retire. You handed in your notice. It's in writing." The other employee refused to side with Jane. Sandy pointed to the box with Jane's belongings, carefully excluding the client information box, and instructed her to leave. Jane's panic turned to obstinance. Refusing to go, she insisted on the missing box. Sandy remained firm. "That's company property. If I give it to you, I'm violating Canadian privacy laws." When Jane still refused, Sandy's boyfriend dialed 911. Within minutes, 2 RCMP officers arrived. Jane ran to the door, claiming she was fired and the client box was stolen. But the officers, informed by Sandy, escorted her outside and ensured she left with only her personal items. For the first time, Jane realized her tricks were over. She had no power, no leverage, and no one to manipulate. Sandy didn't stop there. The next day she put a large sign in the office window congratulating Jane on her retirement, ran a small announcement in the local newspaper, checked the retired box on government employment forms, ensuring Jane couldn't claim unemployment benefits. The ultimate twist: Jane had retired without intending to, legally and publicly. Sandy's internal monologue: sometimes the best revenge isn't anger or yelling. It's planning, patience, and letting the rules do the talking. The office smelled faintly of coffee and paper, but the tension was electric. Jane's face went pale when she saw my boyfriend, a witness, calmly sitting there. The tap of Sandy's fingers on the desk as she typed emails was a rhythm Jane could not interrupt. Each time Jane tried to argue, the sound of the RCMP siren in her mind grew louder. The moment Jane realized she was outmaneuvered was electric. Her protests echoed, her bargaining failed, and for the first time, she faced consequences she couldn't manipulate. Sandy handed her a check, smiled, and said, "Enjoy your retirement." The RCMP escorted her out. The office returned to calm, and Sandy's business was no longer under threat from Jane's schemes. The perfect blend of legal precision, psychological pressure, and timing made the revenge undeniable and deeply satisfying. Revenge doesn't always need fire or fury. Sometimes it's about patience, strategy, and letting the truth, backed by evidence and law, work for you. Jane tried to cheat the system for years, and in the end, the system worked against her. Perfectly. Outro call to action. 15 to 25 seconds. If you enjoyed seeing karma delivered in such a satisfying way, hit that like button, comment below about the smartest revenge you've ever seen, and subscribe for more real-life stories of workplace justice that make the office feel like a battlefield. And the good always wins.